Hey guys, J-Man here, and I'm back in the danger room, and we've got a couple of people lined up today to talk about some X-Men, and this is an informal kind of a thing where I talk to fans of the X-Men, and we just kind of just very casually talk about how they got into it and why they love X-Men, and kind of who their favorite characters are, that kind of a thing. So, and I invite anyone else who's watching this or who's watching this in a later date. If you do want to come on the show, you don't need to have a YouTube channel. You don't need to be a content creator. You don't need to have a website, nothing like that. This is for fans of all kinds. So if you're a fan who's taken it to the next level and created a website or something, that's cool. Or an artist or writer, something like that, that's cool. If not, you just like X-Men and you just want to talk some nerd talk with somebody, then I'm good for both. So all you got to do is comment on this video or reach out to me on one of the Facebook groups that I'm on. I'm on tons. It's J-Man. So you'll see me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter at Lifetime Nerd. So at Lifetime Nerd. So you can contact me there or comment on any of my videos that you see on my channel, and we can just take it from there. Okay, so two people who are on today. For my first guest is someone who is part of my Marvel Strike Force Alliance. That's a mobile game that we play. I've been playing it for a little over a year now. So I'm going to bring in Jeff. How's it going, man?
Good, Jamin. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. All right, so I like to, whenever someone comes in, I like to, maybe throw in something. So let's throw in a Wolverine here.
Nice.
So we're bringing you into the danger room here. Okay, so yeah, so obviously we met through the Alliance in Marvel Strike Force. So that was easy. But and then we started kind of like I started to realize that you're really into the comics and stuff, and you can see by your background there, and you got your X-Men stuff. Yeah, so you got tons of stuff. Like you got some signed things, you got some things framed.
I
like
do. I've got a bunch of signed books on the wall, which are just nothing valuable, just things that mean a lot to me. A lot of Funko Pops, as yourself.
Yeah.
Bowen type statues and busts.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, I saw your busts collection. Mine. I've got a few Conan stuff, and I'm trying to see who I've got. I've got Punisher, I've got Medusa, Crystal. I've got who else is back? Oh, Thunderbird. That's Bowen.
Nice.
That's Bowen Thunderbird. I got Bowen Namor. Who else do I have? You know who I have? This is weird. Do you know who Electra Woman and Dyna Girl are? It's an old show.
Do.
Yeah, I've got they did busts of them, and I've got that. It's really neat. What else do I have? I've got the Mad Hatter from the Adam West show. But you've got, like, my God, you must have. Do you have 100, or do you have
at least? I have not counted for fear of
knowing the number.
Yeah. Combine that with several dozen boxes of comics next to me. So
how many long boxes you got?
About 10.
10 long boxes. Oh, that's not bad.
I've unloaded quite a bit of things that I just didn't want a while back.
I unloaded a whole bunch. I had 22 something long boxes about maybe 5-6 years ago, and I was like, this is a lot of comics, man. And I literally was giving out long boxes as though they were like a buddy of ours who played Marvel Strike Force for a short time. His name is Autodef. He was a Superman fan. I literally gave him a long box of Superman. I'm like, they weren't worth anything. It was I was like, here, long box of Superman. Boom, here you go.
I gave away some cherries without realizing it, but I needed space.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. What you got to do. All right. So let's talk a little bit about X-Men. And so how did you get into X-Men specifically?
I think it all started with Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh, yes.
Watching that as a kid, I loved it. The X-Men were some of my favorite episodes, and I randomly picked up an issue, I think it was 225, when I was young, and that was the first one that I ever remember reading. And then I was sick when I was about 12 or 13 and had bronchitis, and my mother and I went to the store to pick up medicine, and I kind of whined. I was like, can I get a book? And picked up X-Men 248, and I was hooked.
What was 248? Do you remember?
248 was the one where
let's take a look.
Nanny comes to Australia, Havoc accidentally kills Storm.
Yeah, 228. I'm gonna see if I can find it on my iPad. But yeah, okay. So you started with so is that was that still Chris Claremont?
Yes.
Yeah, that was still Chris Claremont.
And
right?
I had him sign.
Oh wow!
I still have the original one that I bought way back when. It's not in great shape, but meeting him was amazing. He went through the book page by page and looked at it as if he was looking at an old family album.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
It was such a great moment.
That is awesome. I mean, for me, I think like I didn't start. I mean, like I like Giant Size X-Men, which I never knew that Chris Claremont didn't write. Like for whatever, like it's one of those things where it's like I know right after that. I don't know what issue was 94. Is it 93, 94? I'm not great on the numbers, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like I just know
94 was right after the Giant Size.
Yeah, so that okay. So is that Chris's start or
yes?
Yeah, like to me, it was like Giant Size X-Men started the whole new thing, and then that was the new team, and then that's kind of what I know. And I've had to go back and read a lot of that because I didn't have a lot of that like as a kid or whatever. I was mostly Superman and like Spider-Man and stuff. So I got into X-Men later on. So I've gone back and I've literally digitally gone back and read through those. It's wicked.
They've always been my favorite. I stop reading here and there. Sometimes when storylines get a little crazy, or when sometimes you just lose the interest. But I'm still back in it now, collecting all the titles.
So are you doing the brand new titles? Like,
yes.
Are you doing all the Dawn of X stuff? Like you're doing every like X-Force, New Mutants.
Hawks and Pox brought me back in. And then I started watching all your stuff that you were putting on it because I was a little behind and had to catch up. And I'm about 2 weeks out, but yeah, current on all of them.
So what do you think? So what are your thoughts on the current like ones? Do you have any favorites of the current ones or?
Right now, Hellions.
Oh, yeah.
Hellions has been great.
I was almost gonna say let's not count Hellions because that's just like it's like. What do you think is a good superhero movie? Superman Part 1 with Christopher Reeve. It's like okay. Not counting the obvious Hellions, which is the damn best. Like
after
obviously,
that, I'm enjoying X-Force. X-Men, I still think is great. Like you, I've fallen off a little bit on Marauders.
I'm
still sticking with it.
Me too.
I thought the X of Swords event started off extremely strong. And then kind of faltered for me towards the end. It got a little too campy during the contest. So,
yeah, that was really that was weird. I don't know. That was just really weird to me. That whole X of Swords thing.
It started out like it was going to be this intense battle, and things were going to be changed and lives lost, and Doug Ramsey just gets married, like.
Right, and I like, and it was Bay is her name, Bay or whatever. Like she's cool, but like really, that was it. That 10 of Swords was very disappointing. The first like 4 or 5, I was like, holy shit!
Yeah,
like it's like every character going to pick up their weapon, and it's like you get the backstory of every sword, the significance, the powers, and I thought Doug using Warlock as like I was like, oh, this is so good, this is so good. And it went nowhere. They like have like singing matches or something, and you're just like what is this? Oh my gosh. And I thought, what a disappointment.
Wolverine's got a new nemesis. Oh my god, this guy's badass.
Yeah.
And he was, but then it just
fizzle. I know. And really it did not need to be 22
No, no, it did
Parts.
not.
I could have cut like seven. I could cut 7 of those books like instantaneously, and I could probably cut another 3 or 4 if I cut sections out of other books, like, and
Right.
just condensed it. Okay, so yeah, so are you liking New Mutants? Because I still like New Mutants as well with Shadow King. Or are you not
Yeah,
on?
I'm liking it a little bit. I think I'm 2 issues behind right now.
Mhm.
The stack next to my bed is about yay tall of things that I need to go through. And oddly enough, outside of Marvel, I'm collecting more indie books than I ever did before. And there's some good stuff coming out there, but it's taking time.
We'll have to talk afterwards about the indie books that you're collecting, because like I'm looking for other stuff. And DC just raised their price. I don't know if you heard. It's going to be $1 more.
I did not.
Yes, it's $1
Yeah,
more
I don't
each.
collect a lot of DC anymore. I went through a huge Green Lantern phase about 9 years ago.
And then that was that.
Return of Hal Jordan. And
well, I liked the Grant Morrison Green Lantern season 1, season 2, but now Grant is off that book.
Yeah.
And new creative team, and they're doing Teen Lantern, and I just no, that's not happening. So out of the X-Men characters, who do you have any like favorites or a favorite?
Like yourself, I'm a big Cyclops fan, but more 90s Cyclops than original. Also love Colossus.
Is that your boy? Colossus is great.
And my guilty pleasure, I was a huge Maggot fan when he was introduced.
Oh my gosh, yes, yes,
absolutely nowhere, but like they introduced him in this big blue badass, and
yeah,
well, it happens.
Didn't go anywhere. Well, since you reminded me, I'm gonna ask everyone to blast the like button for me. If you're watching this now or if you're watching this later, it helps the channel out. So yeah, just give me a like and a share and a subscribe if you want. If you want to be on the show, let me know. Okay, so yeah, Cyclops. Yeah, I like Cyclops a lot. I don't know, he's just cool. Was Cyclops right? Do you think? Was he right?
I don't know.
Cyclops was right.
I just don't know.
He was right. That's it.
But I think I like the leadership aspect. I like when he's definitive and no, this is what we are because this is what we do.
Yep. Yeah, and that's it, right? So I mean, at least he's the leader. Like, what were your thoughts? Okay, I mean, there's a lot of movies, and we've said this before on these live streams when I'm talking to the fans, and depending on everyone's point of view, I mean, like the fact is that the movies are not the comics, so we have to. The way I look at it is we have to literally forget those comics and then watch the movies. And I think that the Marvel movies have done a good job of capturing or at least the MCU have done a good job of capturing the essence of a character, like a Captain America or like something like that.
These characters from the page to life.
Yeah, you're bringing them to life, and you're not necessarily bringing this issue like, oh, I didn't see this exact issue of Nightwing, but if you bring Nightwing, they've done a good job of bad examples on a Marvel. I'm trying to find a Marvel book or whatever. Like here, like well, they didn't really do a great job with Captain Marvel, but but in any case, they kind of did with Carol, but nobody likes Carol, and nobody likes her in the comics. But yeah, they've done a good job. Now, what do you think about the X-Men movies? Do you think they've done a good job, or are they kind of wonky?
I was in love with the first X-Men movie.
Mm-hmm.
It brought all of my, the team to life, like we just said, and I thought they were true to what they could be within the movie. There wasn't a ton of CGI overall on them, and they tried to stay to somewhat reality and didn't make it so fantastic. Not such a fan of the later movies with the younger X-Men cast.
Yep.
Just the Days of Future Past wasn't bad, and First Class was good, but beyond that, I wasn't a fan of the casting and how they handled them
in Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix and all that. Yeah, I for some reason, do you prefer it doesn't matter if you prefer one team or the other, but do you prefer X-Men or Avengers just as a because you don't have to be a pure X-Men fan, just to talk about it.
I've always been an X-Men
more lean
fan.
lean X-Men. Yeah. So when the X-Men movies are coming out, like if you look back at the run of X-Men and all of the villains and all of the storylines, and you're mining that for a movie, like I'm thinking that you're gonna have movies that are gonna be like better than what we're getting from the event. Like if you took the same approach to the Avengers movies, if you to the to the X-Men movies as they did to the Avengers movies in MCU, X-Men should have been way better. Like
Right.
Just storyline wise and character wise, I prefer, like, I love West Coast Avengers, the comics, but the X-Men have so many great characters and so many unique characters that they should have easily outdone any of the Marvel movies that had come out, but they just didn't get there.
I think one of the issues, and this is just my speculation, I could be totally wrong on this. I think that with X-Men, they had movie writers writing a movie about comic books. And with the MCU movies, it's the comic book writers and people working with,
Yeah, and you could tell because
to get it right.
Yeah.
Close. And the other thing is, having read X-Men since I was 12, 13, I have a whole lot already built into my head of what the team is, what they're supposed to do, say, act. It's hard to watch somebody recreate it on screen.
Yeah, and they ended up going with celebrity status versus character. Like I always use this example. Captain America, Chris Evans, was never as popular as an actor as, like, let's say Robert Downey Jr. was. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, started the MCU pretty much. He's sort of the heart of that. But they never lost fact that, look, Captain America is the leader of the Avengers and he's the best. So whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's like they always made sure that you knew that Captain America was awesome. In these movies, Cyclops hardly does anything in the first movie. He gets knocked out in the second movie. He's dead in the third movie. Then they reboot it. There is no Cyclops. You don't see him really until Apocalypse. In Apocalypse, he's young and does nothing. My favorite X-Men movie is Dark Phoenix, and that's because it's finally about Jean and Scott.
Right.
Whether or not you like how they handled that, that's a different conversation. At least Cyclops and Jean are in it together. They love each other. They're fighting for each other. He's using his powers a lot. The powers are portrayed properly, like it's force.
And I've only seen that movie once, so I've got to say, I saw it once. I will have to go back eventually and take it from that perspective, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's the only my perspective on it is that all of, like, the complaints that there are against Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix and any of the other X-Men movies, the complaints are legitimate. But those complaints to me are almost in all of them. It's like, well, it's not like the comic. They screwed up some of these characters. It's not as epic as it should be. It's like, well, that's all the movies. So now I'm just going by what I want to see. It's like Nightcrawler using his powers with Cyclops and Jean. I'm like, this is cool. And it's the shortest movie. And quite frankly, it's the shortest movie. And I like Sophie Turner. So I'm like, it's kind of like everything in one.
I will never forget that when the first X-Men movie, the first time you see Cyclops use the optic blast, like, chills, and I was like, I can't believe I just saw that.
Yeah, and they killed him off because he went into the Superman movie. He was in Superman Returns, and then they're just like, well, we're killing you off. We're not going to have you in this anymore.
The beginning X-Men movies were about Wolverine, and as great as he is, as amazing as Hugh Jackman did in all of them with it, it's not about one person. Right.
And Wolverine should have he should have his own solo TV series. And I've said that in a lot of my Wolverine reviews. It's like he should just have his own sort of like Netflix style series where he just does his own adventures. He could be at Madripoor. He could be Patch for like a season. He could be, there's like Japan. He could do like maybe Savage Lands or something. I don't know. He could do a lot. Every season could be a completely different, unique flavor. Like, imagine you have like Savage Lands, then you're in Japan. It's
you
like
take that Mandalorian approach, that Incredible Hulk, Bill Bixby approach,
Kung
Fu, the
wandering,
guys,
exactly,
just helping out wherever he is.
And Wolverine's the only character I can take without a costume, because he's had so many different looks and so many different versions. Right. But like, if Cyclops doesn't have the proper visor, and if the X-Men don't have some kind of thing, I'm like, well, yeah. It's just like if I could put on a visor and be like, look, I'm Cyclops. It's like that's not. I need costumes. I'm like a visual
Right.
person. I want to see the costumes. I want to see that. Did you like? Well, I guess you liked Logan, right? And
I
Deadpool and
did.
those.
I did. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I
So
make my wife watch it whenever it's on. She rolls her eyes.
Logan. Oh, come on, that's a sad one.
She tolerates all this. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best I can say. She tolerates. It's not her world at all.
Oh,
So I'm a lucky man that I've been gifted my own little man cave in the house. But one of my favorite things in Logan is when they break out the comic books and the girl's
yeah,
like, look. Laura's
that was
pointing
awesome.
it out. And he's like, that didn't happen. It's not what we were.
Yeah, no,
It
that was great.
puts it all together, and it's
I
one of those nerd things that you really appreciate.
Yeah, I think probably Logan. Well, Logan is the best of the mutant films. If you're counting everything with the mutant, like whether it's Deadpool as well, like any of these mutant kind of movies, I'd say Logan is probably the best one. I think is that a no brainer or?
I mean, Deadpool's certainly extremely fun.
Deadpool's fun too. I tend to go with serious. Like when I have a choice to make, I tend to go like more serious than comedy if I have
No,
to
I get your
pick,
point. Yeah,
right? But yeah, both Deadpool movies are a lot of fun. I just don't care about Deadpool in the comics. Are you a Deadpool guy in the comics
I
or?
was for a long time, and I stopped collecting. It was like Wolverine in the '90s. There's just
Yeah, too much.
too much Deadpool everywhere. So I haven't actually read a Deadpool comic in forever.
Um, Before Kelly Thompson took over Deadpool, which is now canceled, the previous series I read the first couple. They had Negasonic in it and stuff. That was kind of neat.
That's pretty.
I
Cool.
always try. Like I read the first three story arcs of Deadpool, like old days, X-Force, the Rob Liefeld days. I read those three arcs. I was like, I read Deadpool kills the universe or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is funny. And then I read, and then I every time he starts a new series, I read the first two, and I get all gung ho. I'm like, all right, man, Deadpool, here we go. And then I'm like, and then I just don't read anymore.
Right. I enjoyed Cable and Deadpool. That was like a fun buddy cop book to read. And originally, the first two miniseries of Deadpool I have, the first series for about a year and a half I collected. And that's really about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't. I don't know. I just can't get into it for whatever reason or what. But what about the cartoons? Were you a fan of like any of the animated?
Yeah, when
X-Men?
that came out, I think I was a senior in high school when those came out, and then going on to college. So it was tough to do it and watch them. I played football in high school and in college, so my Saturdays were pretty busy.
Right.
Try and record them. I got the full box set for Christmas a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And there's a point in those where the artists changed drastically and the storyline just got a little weird. But the art went from the graphics that you're showing on screen and that are great to really just thrown together and like shaky kind of style.
It's probably towards the end.
The last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah. Did you like Pride of the X-Men? You remember that? That was that one episode cartoon.
I did.
I thought that was great.
That was great. The old X-Men arcade game.
Oh yeah, big time.
Played that tons.
Tons.
I still that theme song still pops in the back of my head every now and then.
Yeah. That was a great game. I had that on my iPhone, and then they got rid of it.
Yeah.
But they're doing the arcade one-up version. I think Steve. I'm not sure if I don't know if Steve pre-ordered that. I'm thinking about pre-ordering the arcade one-up version and putting it in the back, like behind here, and have that. And it also has Avengers. It has the Avengers arcade with White Vision, with White Vision and Iron Man and Hawkeye. Oh man, yeah. Quicksilver.
That Avengers, the original Turtles game, all about pretty much the same game with different skins.
So Steve has the arcade one-up Ninja Turtles. It comes with the 2 arcade Ninja Turtles. It's actually a lot better than you might think. Like you look at it and you're like, okay, this looks pretty good, but it's actually really cool.
I played it about 6 months ago at a retro arcade in town.
Like the big full version?
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, but have you seen the arcade one-ups or no? Do you know what I'm
I've
talking
not.
about? Okay, so arcade one-up, what they do is they take it's the exact arcade machine, but they shrink it to two-thirds. Or I don't know if it's two
Right.
thirds or three quarters, something. So it's just a bit smaller, and it's the exact arcade though. So when we're done with the stream, look up Arcade One Up X-Men. It's only 4 players. It's not going to be 6 player with 2 screens. But look up Arcade One Up Ninja Turtles, and then you can put on a riser if you want it to be a little bit taller. But it's the exact arcade machine, just shrunk a bit.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and you're in the States, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for you guys, I think it's like maybe 300 or something. Like for us, it's like 400 or 5. So it might be 300 or 400 for you, and it's like 400 or 500 for us here in Canada. But it's pretty neat. Like, I mean, it's the arcade. Like you can stand up and play it. It's better if you
That's
have a
awesome.
stool. But yeah,
I would
X-Men's
definitely never
cool.
leave down here then. That's
Oh, you need, dude, you need to get Ninja Turtles because Steve has that, so I can confirm that one's good. And then it's the same guys doing X-Men, Ninja Turtles, and X-Men side by side with the arcade sounds. Like that's a no-brainer. You have to get that. So, I mean, you have to get that because you get the space for it too, right?
yeah, probably.
I,
Just get rid of a
I only have
couch.
one room. I so okay. What about what if you have you ever like wanted to have any mutant powers of your own, or like what mutant powers would you want if you could
You
get
know,
any?
this is something that you think about far too often as a comic book guy. Um, super strength would be great. Funny, I kind of got that through all the football stuff way back when, and just I'm 6'5" to begin with, and flight, some sort of flight
Like,
would always that would be my thing. I wouldn't
why?
want telepathy because the way you see it of everybody's thoughts just invading yours, that seems way too crazy.
You'd have to do a lot of like control to like stop
Yeah,
all
and
that
I'm pretty
from
lazy
going in.
overall, so
Did you ever play the Marvel Advanced Role Playing Game, the TSR? Do you know that?
I did not.
Oh man, we have that game. I was talking to some guys about it the other day. I have two of it as a kid, but I had a Children of the Atom. That game is where I learned everything. Because like when we were kids, there was no internet, so if you didn't, if you know, you'd see a new character like, who's this? You know.
Right.
And the role playing game came with all the character bios. And I had
Uh,
the Children of the Atom role playing game guide. So it gave you all of the mutants. So it's like you're like White Queen. Oh, who's this? And you can look up Emma Frost. Oh my gosh! And it's like here's her powers, and it's in a game thing. So it says like her strength is amazing, and amazing meant it was 50. Like
yeah.
whatever, right? But it was like you kind of figured it out that way.
One of my earliest comic book purchases when I first started collecting, I would always get the Marvel's guide to the
Yeah.
universe, where just every page was just another character bio, and I would read through those things at least 4 or 5 times. So I'm better with that than I am with history and economics, because I actually read these books multiple times as opposed to studying.
I had DC Who's Who. I don't know what the letters were, but Reverse Flash was in there. So it was like, R to
Right.
I have no idea whatever the letters were. But I remember it was like Reverse Flash, and it had Robin, and then it had like the Earth 2 Robin, which was like the color, you had the yellow pants or whatever. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my god! And I remember reading through those. I may still have that one actually from back then. But yeah, I never had any of the Marvel ones, but I had the game, so I could go through that. Like, and the game though had like it had Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel. So that was the Captain Marvel that I
Yep.
knew, and I knew Ms. Marvel because I actually have Ms. Marvel like #1. And I had a lot of some of the other Ms. Marvel issues as well. But yeah, so it's like I kind of had that as my guide to the X-Men and Marvel universe or whatever. Okay, so anything else before I let you go?
No, I
Any
think
other cool stuff?
we covered a good amount. This was a
Yeah,
lot of fun. I
are
appreciate
you
it.
looking forward to MCU?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a
Like
doubt.
getting the mutants in there?
Between friends and I, we're discussing, what are they going to do? What storyline?
Yeah.
I think right now we're both kind of hoping something that would be an interesting intro would be the Mutant Massacre.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That could be a fun way of introing.
They could, yeah, that'd be crazy, and they could do like a lot of crazy stuff. I remember have some of those issues because that how big was that? That was a pretty huge.
It was.
It was a pretty
right when they started doing yearly events and crossovers.
Those big events. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the events. There was like Inferno,
Fall of the Mutants,
Fall of the Mutants. Yes, that was a big one.
Yeah.
What else do I remember? Evolutionary War was cool, but that was
all through the annuals.
That was the annuals because I was able to get. I only have like one or two of those.
And then you had the Extinction Agenda.
Yes,
was huge for when I first started. When I was really into it in my teens.
What about Executioner Song? Did you get into that one?
Oh,
that was that was the whole Rob Liefeld like. What is it? The L-Boys, Larson.
Here's how it all works. And
I remember when I got Executioners. I still have the originals. When I got Executioners Song, that first one, and it was like, Cable's like standing over the body, and you're like, "Holy shit, fucking Cable just killed Professor!" And we were at school. We're like, "Dude, man, did you fucking Professor X is dead? What the hell?" And that was crazy. I remember. I distinctly remember that one specifically because like. My buddies were all on board for that one, and we're like, dude, we got to go next week and get the next. And it was like X-Men, Uncanny, X Factor, XForce. It was all the X. I don't know how man. There must have been New Mutants was New Mutants. No, New Mutants had ended by then, didn't it? It did. New Mutants had ended because X-Force had come in.
Yeah, Extinction Agenda was New Mutants.
That must have been towards the end.
93, 94.
Yeah, so that's right at the end. Yeah, that's right at the end of New Mutants. That's pretty much the end of New Mutants right there. So that was their last big thing. But all right, cool. Well, all right, thanks for coming on, Jeff. This was cool.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
We'll see you online.
Take care. Yeah, see you online. Okay, so next I'm gonna bring in my buddy Steve, who doesn't really need an introduction. I'm just gonna bring him in. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Hey, Jay, man, it's good. How are you?
I'm good. So I was doing these. I thought, you know what, like Steve and Sean haven't had a chance to come on, but I didn't want it to seem like I was like, oh, he's just getting his friends on. Like this is bullshit. So I wanted at least the first few weeks to be opened up to like anybody. And I had a cancellation for today. So I thought, you know what, let's throw, because like I know you're good to come on whenever.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's get you on here and get your kind of perspective. Because I know you're a Hulk guy. And we both are Hulk guys. And maybe even more so, we were both more so Hulk probably in the early days than X-Men, I think, right? Because my top guys were like Hulk, Spidey, Superman, Batman. That's sort of my go-to guys. Anybody that had a TV show, Batman, Superman, or Superman had movies and stuff, but so you're probably more in line a little bit with me with like you got into X-Men a little bit later on.
Yeah.
I got into Wolverine pretty heavy when I was a kid. I told everyone knows my 16-year-old self story when I dressed up as Wolverine and nobody knew who the hell I was. And they thought I was Freddy Krueger, which is a fail. Now everybody knows who Wolverine is, but back then nobody gave a shit about Wolverine. And now they're like, now they're experts, eh? Like, Hugh Jackman's the best Wolverine.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Name any other Wolverine thing that you've ever encountered. It's like there's been like you get a lot of these. I don't know what you want to call them, but like they watched Logan. And now they're Wolverine experts. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Wolverine's my favorite. It's like, okay, have you seen anything else, or have you read the first ever comic book store I ever went to? I bought 3 PVC figures: Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Archangel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I dressed up as Wolverine when nobody knew who it was. And I remember when I went, and my mom was even like, she's like, wait, who are you again? I'm like, I'm Wolverine. And I'm showing her the comic. I'm like, I'm this guy. She's like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, Wolverine. I was like, yeah. And she's like, I don't think anyone knows who that is. I was like, no, they know. and I went, and nobody knew. Your parents are right. If there's any kids watching this, your parents are. Nobody gave a shit about Wolverine or about me. They're like,
Yeah.
"Are you Freddy Krueger?" I'm like, "No, I'm Wolverine." They're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "He's a superhero." They're like, "No, he's not." I'm like, "Okay, fine, he's not." So what was your first experience with X-Men?
I think because as a kid, I wasn't as much into X-Men. I was more into like separate men. So I got into Nightcrawler. So
Yeah,
if Nightcrawler was on the cover of a comic, I would buy it. I
yeah,
always remember there was a one of my favorite comics was there was an issue. It was yellow background, and it was Nightcrawler, and there was a puff of smoke, and it's like he just
let's see.
teleported onto the cover. It had
I
that
see.
sort of effect. And I
Yep.
also thought that was, I bought it just based off that, right? Like I just bought it based off that cover. I was like, I don't know. Like I didn't even connect at that time that Nightcrawler was part of the X-Men.
Right.
All I knew was this guy looks cool. And the funny thing is that Nightcrawler popped up in other comics. So, for instance, there's that whole I think it was 2 or 3 issues where him and Spider-Man were there, and Punisher was there,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And like that was the great thing I liked about Nightcrawler was he traveled to different things. I think another guy who did was Angel. I think I saw him in a few. He left the X-Men at one point, and he would show up in a Hulk comic or something.
They had yeah, X-Men was cool because they would just rotate the roster anytime somebody would get
Yeah,
boring or whatever. I'm trying to find, I don't know what I could search for to find that cover because I'm really anxious to see what that is. Was it something like that?
yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, so it's like he's like appearing in front of the reader or whatever.
Right, right. But a lot of the time too, how I knew about the X-Men was I was a big gamer growing up. So
Yes.
the NES X-Men game,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yes,
You
yes.
remember that?
Yep.
I remember the angry video game nerd tore a strip off it, but like I remember I had a buddy come over, and it was one of those things where you had to get from the bottom to the top and fight
Yeah.
someone at the top. And he always picked to be Colossus because Colossus was tough, right? He had this skin, and I always picked Cyclops or Iceman.
Yeah, because he could shoot and they're
They
better.
could shoot, right? And literally, he would always make it to the end, and I would get destroyed by the time because I was taking most of, like I was shielding him, right? So I never actually got to play any of the bosses in the X-Men game because I was dead by the time he got to him. And
that game's kind of trash.
It is.
I've played it, and I wanted it so badly, that cover, and I was like, I wanted it so badly. And then when I finally got it on one of these emulators, I was like, oh, this is not good at all. But I was such a mark for it. I was actually a real mark for the it may have been called Children of the Atom. It was a CPU, sort of like the Nintendo one. It's like it's top view, but then when you'd fight a guy, it'd go to like a side fighting game, like a Street Fighter.
Right.
And you could pick, like, I was like, I would have Havoc and Iceman, Archangel, like Dazzler, and like Rogue or something. It was like there was like 25 characters you could pick from. It was freaking awesome.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
That's
so I remember
crazy.
the NES game.
And then the Sega game, of course, you remember because you had it.
For sure, yeah.
And that game was like super tough. Like
it's tough.
It was like I think you were out in the Savage Lands. There was one I always remember that one, and like just the platforming was crazy. Like it was like it always seemed like when you jumped to a new platform, there was something on the opposite platform to just knock you off, and then you just dive bomb. But I always remember because that was the game where you had to hit reset to beat it. That's crazy.
Yeah, Scotty from Great Xmentations was on last week, and he was like saying, I think he was saying that, like, he goes, like, it's so counterintuitive to what you would do. Like, why would you hit the reset button? Now, we talked about it with everybody. Javier was on, like, all the fans that have come on. We were all just like, yeah, what the hell? Like, you have to hit the reset button? Like, that's weird. And I discovered it because I got angry and I just hit the reset button and it worked. I was like, oh my God, I've done it. And I was so happy because I could get to the end, no problem, eh?
Yeah,
I could get to that part, and I think was Nightcrawler selectable because his power was like you'd clear the screen pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Did you like the arcade game, the beat 'em up?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
Like it was always, but it was hard to play because not because it was the control sucked, but because you couldn't get near.
I know.
There's always people playing it, right? Like, and I wasn't one of those people who jumped on to the game if someone else was playing. Like, I always felt like I waited till they ended,
Right.
you know. But like, yeah, it was cool. Again, probably the best player was Cyclops because there's something about, you know, having that distance and then taking your shot. Like, I never liked the characters who had to come in close because it was just too chancy to me. It's always like take them out from a distance was smarter. But yeah, I heard what you were saying. So the arcade one up is not for pre-order yet.
Oh, okay.
But when it is available, I'm obviously going to get it. Put it side by side by Turtles, and that'll be awesome.
The Turtles one is really cool. Like, and if the X-Men one, like for me, it'd be X-Men over Turtles only because it's X-Men. But Turtles would be like if those were like ideally it would be those two games and then Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and that would be all I'd ever really need.
Yeah.
But the Street Fighter one didn't have the banana, like it didn't have the proper controls. It had like the ball, and it should have the ball. Banana. It should have the baseball bat looking controls where it's kind of like a stick. So it needs to have the bat controls and not the ball. And then Mortal Kombat looked pretty good as well. But then I was like, I don't know, because I played Mortal Kombat so often, and I had it on Genesis. I think beat 'em ups are better because we tested your Ninja Turtle. So, you know, well, this applies to X-Men because it's going to be the same controls. I found the controls were much better on the Ninja Turtles one. And I think that Mortal Kombat, because I'm like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, I'm like a big time nerd for those games. And I need the precise controls to work. Because everyone who reviewed these arcade one-ups were like, yeah, the controls are pretty good. No, that's not good enough. Yeah. I need it to be precise because Street Fighter 2, if you don't hit the proper combo, you have to jump. You need to do roundhouse, forward, uppercut, like Shoryuken. If you cannot do that exactly timed, it won't happen. But beat 'em ups are way better because Ninja Turtles, you mash the buttons, you throw guys is great.
Well, what are probably our younger people who unfortunately didn't even get a chance to play arcades, arcade games, wouldn't understand is that if you're sitting there and you're explaining to someone, you're like, oh, you know, you have to do the motion is like for I think it's for Shoryuken, you go like half circle and then hit punch.
Right? Yeah, it's like Shoryuken is like towards your opponent, down, and then diagonally. It's
that's the uppercut.
It's like a little. I actually do it the way you're saying. I do like a little circle.
Yeah.
In the quarter.
Right.
Like if this is like this, it's like in the little quarter part of it.
Yeah.
I can do it every time, like freaking perfect. Like, but if I can't do it perfectly on arcade one-up, I'll barf because that's like the only thing I do.
Well, that's the thing, and like you could be sitting there and think that you made the right motion for Hadouken or whatever, and it's just simply right. Like I even know with the wrist, this is what you do, right? And it's like, but you could do that and the move wouldn't work. And if you can't do that move, you're sunk. Because that's the whole basis for his thing. I was a Blanca guy, so it was easy for me. It was like
back forward,
and then turtle forwards for the ball.
Yeah,
but like that's why beat 'em ups were the best because like if you look at the turtle thing, it's jump punch.
Right, and then I think if you press the 2, you do like a
Now that timing has to be perfect, and I can do it about 50% of the time
on the arcade one-up.
Yeah.
I thought it was working pretty good. I don't know. I don't remember now, but I don't remember thinking, oh, this isn't working well.
No, it was more so I chalked it up to my like failing arcade skills.
Yeah.
You gotta use the pencil perfectly. Yeah.
You don't know all the tricks of the arcade that these guys would do, man. Like I'd be there and there'd just be chain smoking guys.
Yeah.
Like they know what they're doing. Me and my buddy Jay, who is not on this, he doesn't want to appear on my stream. Me and him would go like every day. We'd be like dropping $10, and friggin' playing all day. So I could play Street Fighter blindfold. I could beat people with Mortal Kombat if I pick Raiden and just use the joystick and not even press a button. Because if go down, up, it teleports, and if you go back forward, he does the push.
Yeah.
So it's like I would literally defeat people without using a button, and you're like,
yeah,
this is outrageous.
yeah, because he does the back forward for the torpedo.
The torpedo, yeah.
Yeah.
So X-Men video game, that was cool. What about the cartoon? Did you watch that or no? Like,
so I managed to get some occasionally, and you know that we both have the Hero Clicks based off the animated.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are awesome. I love
awesome.
The work with that. But like, since I bowled, I was in a bowling league for so many years. It was on, I think X-Men was on 11:30ish, somewhere in there, like 11, I want to say. And I want to say that, like, so what I would do is I go bowling till like 10:30. If we had to go shopping, grocery shopping, I was going to miss it. So I would catch it every other week. And from that show, for some reason, I really love Storm. I don't know why. She was like fantastic. I always loved someone who can control the weather, right? Because it's almost like, again, it's Colossus could make his skin go metal, and Cyclops had the optic blast. But this is a person who literally had options. Like, to me, Cyclops never had options. Colossus never had options. I like characters with options.
Right. That's an interesting take. I never thought of that. Yeah, like she could do a lot of cool stuff with the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, Storm can kill like, what are we messing around here for? Like, like Storm should just be able to just kill everybody.
Yeah.
Like, we're watching we're not going to get into the Snyder Cut, but Snyder Cut comes in. It's like, here's the parademons. Okay, Storm's just going to go like, and blow them all. Like, even in Endgame, it's like, here comes everybody. It's like, well, Storm can literally just wipe, like, have a tornado wipe the shit out of everybody here. Yeah, and it's like, Storm is the best. Like, you know what happened? Marvel lost all their strong female characters when they sold the rights to the mutants. Yeah, because that was Storm, Jean, Scarlet Witch, Cyclops. What's her name? Psylocke is what I wanted to say. They lost. Who else did they lose?
Rogue.
Yeah. All of the strong, independent female characters are from the X-Men.
Yeah.
And they didn't have 100%. Anybody. They literally people are like, why did they make Captain Marvel the main girl? It's like, who else did they have? Yeah. Like, obviously Storm is the best, or Jean Grey, but they didn't have those people.
Well, no one really credits the X-Men for how great the characters are. They're all like, oh, what's this person's mutant power and what's that mutant power? My favorite X-Men storyline is Dark Phoenix, but it's not because of the Phoenix character, because if anyone has not read the Phoenix Saga, the Phoenix Saga is actually the back half of that storyline. The first half is her getting tricked by a mastermind, right, into thinking she's married to this character that he's made up. And the Hellfire Club, who have not yet been given their due, in my opinion. They slaughter the X-Men, like, they destroy them.
Yeah, Sebastian Shaw is the friggin' best. Yeah, we had him in First Class. This is one of these things where, again, the movie. Oh, hey Brendan, what's going on, man? What do we got? I know they're gonna bring they want to do something called the Mutants to try to introduce the mutants. I suppose. Some people have interpreted that as they don't want to have the word man or men in the. I hope that's not. If that this has gone. It's gone so silly now, dude. Like, literally, like, they're like, oh, we're not calling it X-Men because the word men or something. I'm like, is this for real? Because if that's true, this is so beyond stupid. But I think they're trying to do something called the Mutants and perhaps introduce the idea that there are mutants and then go from there. But yeah, you're saying with the Hellfire Club, they never got their shot really properly in, like, First Class. They're there, Emma and Shaw, but, like, I don't know. They didn't do enough damage, I think.
Well, I love Emma. I bought
she's great.
Emma's actual run of her own comic book, and I read.
Yeah,
and it's frigging phenomenal. It really does the character justice, and it's not just. See, the problem is that I think Emma was sort of seen as the reverse Wolverine, where Wolverine was interested in Jean Grey, and they had that triangle, and then Emma was interested in Cyclops, and he had Jean. Though I think Jean was deceased at that point. I think maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
But you had Emma as the other woman. And she was a sexy blonde, so it was easy to just give her that, hey, she's just,
right.
The rebound girl, and, she's the reformed villain. But Emma has a great backstory. If you read her comic, it's really phenomenal, because it sort of talks about she wasn't always that character and the stuff she had to put up with and whatnot. So, I mean, if no one has tried it, give it a shot because it's pretty good.
Those are all, like that Dark Phoenix Saga, and I'm trying to see which ones. So I've got Emma Frost's first appearance in the glass case.
Yeah.
And I've got first Phoenix and first Dark Phoenix. So first ever Phoenix and first ever Dark Phoenix in here. And then the first Emma. And I believe the first Emma might be someone else's first as well. And I'm going to blank on this, which is brutal. It might be, is it Kitty? It might be Kitty. I can go, did Kitty, let me check Kitty Pryde's.
Was Kitty, I always get it confused if she showed up in that. I think she did. And I think Dazzler did as well. Dazzler.
I have that. Yep. So I have Dazzler's first appearance.
Yeah.
Kitty and Emma are both first appearance in X-Men 129. So I have got both of those. So it's one comic.
The reason why I always blank on that is because Kitty was pivotal to Days of Future Past.
Right.
And I always get the two confused because that was Kitty's story. People don't realize that because of the Days of Future Past movie. They made it Wolverine. But it's like Kitty because they went to recruit her. Bless you. Yeah. They went to recruit her.
Right.
And they were going to recruit Dazzler in that
arc, Dazzler was there too. This is all getting into like Dark Phoenix. This is all sort of the prelude. In the cartoon, they did a not too bad job, probably the best job that anyone's going to do in adapting the Dark Phoenix. It was a few parts in the cartoon series. Now, I actually was not a major cartoon fan. I got turned off when I saw Jubilee. And I thought, Jubilee, it's like, because I love Dazzler. And I was into Pride of the X-Men, which had Kitty and Dazzler and all them. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And then that was only a one episode thing. And then they moved right into that show was just gone. And then it went into the 90s X-Men, which everyone knows. And it's a wicked cartoon. I'm not, obviously I've got the entire thing or whatever. So that's cool. Who do you have a favorite? Is Nightcrawler your favorite?
Nightcrawler, it has to be my favorite from childhood, right? It's just, I love the teleportation thing is so awesome because you can do so much with it, right? It can be used as a weapon. It can be used as a traveling thing. Like, again, the options idea. I love having the ability to do different things with a character. He
was like his teleportation in X-Men 2 when he's invading the White House or whatever. Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was killer. So Nightcrawler is a fan favorite. I bought, again, he was in the first ever trip to the comic shop. I bought the PVC of Nightcrawler, still have it on my shelf.
Yeah.
I don't think there's some people who Nightcrawler is their favorite character. And then it's either he's your favorite character or you like him. I've never heard anyone say they don't like Nightcrawler. Like it's either I really like Nightcrawler or he's in like my top 10 best guys.
Yeah.
There's no one who says he sucks. I've nenever encountered anyone who doesn't think Nightcrawler's cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Visually. He's like one of the more interesting ones because he's blue.
Yep.
Right? Like he's got that devil, like he looks a bit like the devil. He's got the horns, and his outfit has that red, right? So it's very much easy to do that. So
He's got the
Yeah, just
tail, man. He's got the
yeah.
he's got the hair and the ears and all that. He just looks cool. I should have maybe gotten a tattoo of Nightcrawler. Just want to remind everybody, if you're just tuning in, or if you're watching this later on, to please blast the like button. Help Cyclops out. help me out here. But yeah, Nightcrawler is awesome, and like
Yes.
when he are you buying him if he comes to Marvel Strike Force?
Yeah. Yeah,
he'll be-
100. It's like Emma. Like Emma's one of my. I say like Nightcrawler's my favorite classical character guy I grew up with,
right.
and then Emma's my favorite newer character. I guess.
Do you like? Okay, so I've got a black statue. I've got the black outfit of Emma. This was in the, I think it was the Bendis X-Men run, which I'm kind of reading. I'm reading Grant Morrison and Bendis right now while I'm reading the new stuff. I really like it, and that's where Cyclops was red and he had the red X, which it's not my best look, but he fits with that team. So I got Magic, Magneto, Emma in the black, and Cyclops. Now, do you like Emma in the white or Emma in the black, or it doesn't matter?
The white.
The
like
white?
I always associate her with the White Queen. That's why I also like the Hellfire Club, because they were the chess pieces, right? And
yeah.
Growing up, if you were, I hate to say this as a like a stereotype, but if you were a nerdy person, you were probably either in the chess club or thinking of being in the chess club.
Guilty.
So like anything that alluded to chess, like I remember in shop, I made my own wooden chess set.
Man, everyone did that. So okay, so they were doing that. You know what I did? I made a metallic shield.
Oh, nice.
They had an anvil, and I asked the shop teacher, I'm like, does it have to be wood? Because you got metal and stuff. And he's like, yeah, you can make. So me and my buddy Jay made a shield. I'm like, this is the greatest course ever. Like, I made a metal, and I pounded it on the anvil, man, like freaking forged in fire. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
And then my other friend Paul, who he made a chessboard. So that was like, a chessboard was one of the things that like to me. His came out nice. They came out nice. Like, they're very nice. Did you watch Queen's Gambit, just as a random?
Not yet. It's on my to do. Yeah, I figured.
And she's Magic. She played Magic, so
I know. She's great, man.
She is great. Yeah. Okay, so movie talk. Let's get into the movie talk. So I know you recently went back.
Yeah.
Have you gone through them all now or no? Are you
all 13. I did them all.
All right. Fresh eyes. This is all within the last month or two?
It was literally at Christmas time, so 3 months.
Christmas time, so last few months? Okay. So now, fresh eyes, XMen series, in counting Logan, counting Deadpool in that, all 13 mutant films, New Mutants. So first 3 X-Men, then the First Class stuff. There's like 4 or 5 of those, whatever. The 2 Deadpools, 3 Logans, New Mutants.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite of all of those now, if you can pick a favorite?
Yeah, it's definitely the Wolverine.
The Wolverine. Interesting. Yeah. I like it. I like that one a lot. But yeah. How come that one?
It's, first of all, you can't replicate the Japanese setting. The ultra slick modern world with the old feudal temples and the mountains.
Yeah.
The battle on the bullet train is amazing. Him going to the village and they're shooting arrows in him to stop his forward progress. The Silver Samurai is great.
Yeah.
Even his home, where he had the metal thing that propped him up and stuff, like the bed that was like metal pieces and it brought him up. Yukio, I think that's how you pronounce it. She's amazing.
She's awesome. She's the damn best.
It's just like, it's everything. It connects to the series. You have Jean Grey back and he's like dealing with her loss. I felt more for their relationship in that movie than I did in the first 3 of the X-Men movies combined.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's 100%. Awesome.
So Wolverine, So the Wolverine is good. And I don't think that it's talked about enough. I think there's something, maybe it's intangible. There's something in that movie that's preventing people from going, because like we saw that together, didn't we?
Yeah.
We must have.
Yeah.
We saw that
Yeah.
together. And I just thought this is the fucking best. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's, I love Japan. I'm such a Japan mark, but like, dude, like, I'm like, this was kick ass, man. Like, it was really cool. And Logan obviously is friggin' awesome. So
Logan
Wolverine,
is the best.
yeah,
Logan is the actual critically, if we look at critically, the best.
Yeah.
But Wolverine is just magical. It's just like Logan is very serious and very like X-23 is awesome.
Awesome.
You know, like all that's great. It's interesting to go out into Mexico in the deserty setting, and like Professor X is there. But I don't like the idea that Professor X killed the X-Men, which is what they say in that movie.
You're right, dude. I think you're right. That's weird.
Like, and they're like, oh, he's losing his mind. But I'm like, I don't like that. Like, it doesn't matter. You can explain it. You can say he's losing his mind. I don't like the fact that he killed the X-Men.
That's a good point. I think, yeah, there's always two ways to look at all of these superhero movies. Does this make sense in the movie? Sure. Professor X could have lost his mind and done this, but then there's do I want to see that as a fan of Professor X or whatever? And yeah, that's where it's very difficult to draw the line with things. That's the problem that DC faces more so than anyone else.
Yeah.
Because there's people that they really love the Snyderverse and the way that it's presenting the characters in the darkness, and it's a little bit, it's more, they're saying more realistic. I prefer fantasy elements. I prefer to see heroic characters doing heroic deeds rather than, would Wonder Woman realistically kill this person in this situation?
Yeah.
I don't look at it that way. I'm looking at it, realistically is not a factor because Wonder Woman is not real. So I want her to be Wonder Woman and be a sign of hope and all that. And then I also want Superman in the actual movie instead of being in it for 5 minutes. But anyway, same thing with Marvel. You start getting into this. Hawkeye, like, okay, do we make Hawkeye realistic? Okay, he's a SHIELD agent. He's good with a bow, or are we going to go more comic book route, which I would have liked to have seen? So Hawkeye to me is in my top 10 favorite Marvel characters. He may or may not squeak in my top 10 favorite superheroes if I count everybody, like the Phantom and Flash Gordon and all that. He may not make top 10, but he's top 10 in just Marvel for sure. He was one of my first tattoos. And I felt he was done dirty in the movies because it didn't feel like Hawkeye to me. Now, again, realistic Hawkeye. People love this version of Hawkeye.
Yeah. Well, I think.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's because people like Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner's very easy. He's got a likability about him naturally that carries forward from movie to movie to movie. Yeah. If you look at like the one he did with Christian Bale, which name slips me, Hustle, American Hustle.
Oh, that's a great movie.
He's great in it.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a stooge in that one, but he's still great. Yeah. He's still like, The Hurt Locker. He was the main actor in that. He was in 28 Weeks Later. Like, he carried through all of his movies, Wind River. He's always really likable.
Mission Impossible, he was in one.
Yeah,
he was
Mission Impossible
one of
4 and 5.
4 and 5, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense. It makes sense that Hawkeye in this world would be, on SHIELD, and it's a very easy way to introduce him without having to do a lot of comic book baggage. Again, it makes sense in this movie, in this world, but J-Man doesn't like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't anger me. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, okay, it's hashtag not my Hawkeye. But you know what? What can I do? So yeah, and I think the X-Men movies are kind of, some characters they do okay. Sometimes like Deadpool's great, but Deadpool is like, I don't know, it's an anomaly. It's like for whatever reason they tried to make that as accurate as they could to the character. Maybe it's got a lot to do with Ryan. The director could be, even Rob Liefeld, if he had any influence at all. Ryan Reynolds was like gung ho. I gotta be I want to be Deadpool. I want to be the wisecracking, merc with the mouth and all that crap. So yeah, and Logan, for whatever reason, Hugh Jackman's personality, even though Logan is way too tall, he's frankly way too tall to be Wolverine.
Yeah,
He should be
he's
shorter.
way too tall.
Where's the short guy representation in
Well, two things I want to say about the movies too.
Yeah.
People love Deadpool. I get why they love Deadpool. When you rewatch it, the second movie is obviously better than the first one.
Yeah.
The first one seems to not know what to do other than introduce Deadpool. Like it introduces Deadpool and then it sort of stops dead, and it's like, okay, insert to end.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have a flow to it. But the problem with the Deadpool character, and I love Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how I saw him from when he was in the show Two Girls, a Guy in a Pizza Place.
Yes.
You don't. It's great to see Deadpool do stuff to other people, but you begin to realize I would not want to hang out with Deadpool because I would be the subject of all of this stuff, and I would shoot him, right? Like it would go from oh, that's funny to like super annoyance.
Yeah. He's not great to have over for dinner. Or
no.
And he probably talks throughout the movie. You're like, dude, I'm trying to figure out Tenet. Like, they're going backwards. Damn it, I missed it. It's like Deadpool, shut up. I'm trying to watch this movie. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. Shut your mouth. I gotta pay attention. And it's like, and he'll just talk throughout the whole damn thing. And it's like,
I know.
Whereas Wolverine won't care. They'll just be drinking.
Yeah, whatever. The other thing I want to say is every one of your guests consistently over and over again shoots down Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I know.
So what I recommend everyone do is go back and watch all 13 movies in a row. Now I know it's going to take you a while, and you may not want to do it, but rewatch all of them. Dark Phoenix is great, and I'll tell you why. You notice in that movie that the actors actually have an idea of why they're doing things. They sleepwalk through Days of Future Past. If you think about Days of Future Past, which everyone loves, you're sending Wolverine back in time to stop Mystique from shooting someone, which he fails to do.
Right.
She makes the decision not to shoot him.
Right.
The X-Men actually fail the mission that they did all this stuff for.
Yeah, and he didn't do like a big speech or anything to convince her, did he? Like,
no.
It was just like, oh yeah.
He was actually like knocked out to like he drowned. He was knocked out to the Chesapeake, I think, and he was drowning, and they picked him up. Like what's his name? Stryker picked him up from the water.
Yeah, so he didn't even complete the mission.
He didn't even complete it. He was MIA. He was out of commission. I'm like, what the hell, right? And Apocalypse is just dreadful.
That's a dreadful movie.
It's terrible.
Even with Sophie Turner in it.
Well, even with like Nightcrawler, Jubilee, Cyclops, and Jean walking around a mall, which is kind of fun in itself. It's just,
that is fun.
Nightcrawler learning stuff is so great. That guy Cody, he's great as Wolverine, as Nightcrawler. But like in Dark Phoenix, if you honestly watch it, everyone actually seems to know why they're doing something. They sleepwalk through so much of the movie, but Dark Phoenix, it's like they connect. Magneto's like, you killed Mystique. Well, screw you. She was one of us.
Right.
As opposed to Apocalypse when he had some random wife and child, and then of course, they're going to get killed, and he's going to, just start spinning metal in the air for like 30 minutes. Like
I know it's weird. I know what the tension of Dark Phoenix is that, like, Beast is behaving like a goof, and he's like, screw you, Professor X. There's that kind of weirdness.
Yeah.
But if you look at it as a movie, remember, the movies are not the comics, and the characters are not necessarily the comic book characters.
Right.
So you have to judge this on its own thing, right? It's the same thing with any of these ones. You have to judge the Snyderverse characters for the characters they are in the Snyderverse, not compare them to the comics, right? Because they're nothing alike. Same with a lot of the X-Men stuff, like Mystique. She stands up for rights of human or mutant rights, and it's like we shouldn't have to hide, and then she's always in skin color. Well, if we shouldn't have to hide, you should be blue skinned all the time. that's a Dark Phoenix thing. So there's a lot of wonkiness in the plot, even within the story of X-Men itself.
Mhm.
But firstly, it's the shortest one, so that's good. Everyone uses their powers in a cool way and for a purpose. Like Cyclops is shooting things properly. It's like it's deflecting. It's
Mhm.
like they worked better as a team, and the train fight was a better, well-sequenced fight.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler's doing things and teleporting and hitting guys. There's a lot more going on than in the other movies I felt. That's just me. Now, for me, Logan, Wolverine, Dark Phoenix, and I guess the Deadpools are probably the best. Like
Yeah.
even X-Men 1, I don't really rewatch that often. X-Men 2 is irritating because I like it, but then Colossus is not in it. So I'm like, I don't know.
You mean Cyclops?
I mean Cyclops.
It was Mystique wearing strikers. I will say the thing that saved X-Men 2 was Nightcrawler and also
he's awesome.
Magneto and Mystique, because them joining there was a nice counterpoint to the X-Men. It was good tension, right?
Yeah.
But Dark Phoenix is just more of a movie. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like everything connects better. It's not just characters doing stuff because the script says to do it.
I don't know. It is what it is. So we're gonna start to wrap up in a minute anyway. Anything else to add? Let's get your so Steve is a writer. He's written a couple of books. I have also written a couple of books. If anyone wants to buy them, they can go on Amazon and search for my books. If anyone cares, I'll throw a link up for that. But I'm gonna get your link here first for your
Thank you.
And I don't even plug my books anymore because like I just don't.
They're good books though, man.
They are good, of course.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Okay, so Steve, let them know a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a writer when I'm not doing my day job. So I've written my first book was a thriller, and then I wrote a crime thriller, and then I wrote more of an office comedy stuff. So I've basically tried to write something that someone can connect to. Like you don't maybe connect to all the books, but maybe one of them or two of them. I'm always writing new stuff. I'm writing some short stories now. I'm going to do a collection hopefully soon. I also wrote a couple of characters that was in our Into the Void magazine, which unfortunately is now defunct, but you can't win them all. So I hope to do those two. And again, two very different characters. I also write for the Movie Elite and the Action Elite, occasionally more so the Movie Elite. So do reviews, look back on careers and stuff. So yeah, check it out.
All right, cool.
The last thing.
Steve. Oh yeah, one more thing. Yeah.
My mutant power.
Oh, your mutant power. What is it? What would you want it to be?
Rogues.
Rogues power, stealing other powers?
Because you can now have every power in the world.
Yeah. And
because
you can suck Captain Marvel, and then you can get another Captain Marvel, even though we don't.
Yeah. If you ran out of ice cubes and you just touch Iceman and then freeze the friggin' drink.
I want ice powers. I don't know why. It's so random. I love having ice. Maybe because we grew up in the Great White North.
Yes, we're used to ice.
It's like Game of Thrones, that big army. It's like, I'll just freeze all you asswipes. It's like, that's it. All right, Steve, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
See you, man. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week for the X-Men fans segment. If you want to be on the show, I open it up to everybody. You don't have to be a content creator. You don't have to be an author. You just have to let me know. You can let me know in comments of any of my videos. I am on Twitter at Lifetime Nerd. I couldn't get J-Man, so I thought let's do Lifetime Nerd and make it a little bit more complicated than just J-Man. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, comment on any of my videos. Say you want to be on, and that's it. And I'll schedule you for a time and a day. No requirements. You just need to have audio. You don't even need to be on camera if you don't want to be on camera. You don't even need to be a super hardcore X-Men fan. Today we had Jeff, who was like into all the comics, and we have Steve, who's into the movies and stuff and the games. So any X-Men fan is welcome, and we'll talk about it. We're going to do some new scheduling coming up. We're going to add a couple of shows. I've had a few requests to do some DC content as well. And I do read a lot of DC books as well. So I read the Supermans, the Batmans, the Wonder Womans, the Flash, Nightwing, Joker. So I read a lot of DC books, and I'm checking out quite a bit of the Infinite Frontier stuff as well. So we're going to add a segment for that. The weekly X-Men talk is going to be still Wednesdays, and I'm going to that just be a solo video where I just do the X-Men book reviews, but I'm trying to get some stuff together to do a panel discussion on the weekly events for the X-Men. And I'm also going to do a panel discussion on the weekly events for DC. That would be DC books, even shows like Superman and stuff like that. And those panel discussions I will open to the public. So I will phase in, like Kitty Pryde did in Pride of the X-Men, I will phase in some of the viewers into the Danger Room with us to talk about stuff going on for DC and Marvel on that time. I don't know when that's going to be just yet. That could be Sundays, and we may move X Fans to Fridays. So we're going to see how all that pans out. But that's going to end it off for today. So for sure, I will see everybody next Wednesday for sure for the weekly X-Men talk, and then we're going to go from there. Again, let me know. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on